The first question I have for you for tonight is, why is the doctrine of the Trinity important for the global church?
It's important for Christians everywhere in all times and all places because it really is the heart and core of the teaching of the apostles, which are grounded in the life and ministry of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ being the one who, as we know, ultimately reveals who the true God is, revealing the mysteries, you know. And so he is the revelation of that mystery, and in him, the apostles see who God really is. And as they begin to teach us and lay the foundation for how we think and even how we talk, and therefore how we live as Christians, they set that in Trinitarian terms. So there's nothing particular about the Trinity that distinguishes some Christians from others. It's not one of these issues where, for some Christians, the Trinity is important and for others, it's not. No, it's equally important for all of us. Perhaps the ways that we talk about it can be different. The ways that we theologize about it, the ways that we even understand it can be different. But Fred Sanders, a theologian that I like very much, he has a book called The Deep Things of God. And in that book, he tries to explain that really the mystery of the Trinity and the way that we talk about the Trinity really is derived from the Christian experience of who God is. And you can imagine the apostles being on the boat with Jesus as he calms the wind and the waves, and they're just wondering, who is this man? Who on earth is this? As they're beginning to understand who he is and see him, and then Jesus leaves them. They see him alive again after his resurrection, and he says, I'm leaving you of all things, but I'm sending another helper. Well, their ecstatic experience of the Holy Spirit in all of this, they're looking for new words and new ways in order to express who God is. And that's just simply the ongoing Christian experience. That's not peculiar to them. That's the same for us. So it really is relevant to all Christians in all places and all times. And understanding what on earth is God doing in us and with us and through us and with one another. That's all part of the Trinitarian mystery.
Yeah, thank you for that wonderful answer. I didn't plan to say this, but the way you introduced the answer was, no, Trinity is important for all of us. I was just reminded of, I will not mention the name, but there's a minister in Chicago, a well-known minister who is not Trinitarian. And once he made this YouTube video where he says, I don't care if you're Baptist, Pentecostal, or Trinitarian, we can agree and disagree. And I'm thinking, this guy doesn't understand. He thinks being a Trinitarian is a denomination and it's optional for you as a new covenant believer. And it's actually not, if you want to stay to the orthodoxy, to the proper sound teachings of the church that's been the same for the last 2,000 years. And I just saw how much theological education we lack today in churches. Is this
Yeah.
something that you see and agree as well?
Yeah, for sure. Anyone who would say something like that, right, is making a category error. And sometimes I can understand that academic theology, I had this experience, I have a PhD in academic theology, can be very off-putting. It can seem very exclusive, and the gospel must be anything but exclusive. The gospel is God's invitation to everyone everywhere. And so it's not an exclusive club. It's not for some and not for others. And academic theology certainly feels that way. And Trinity, that term, comes out of academic theology. And so it can definitely feel that way. And I can understand people feeling that at times, but we can throw the word away. The word is unimportant. How God has revealed himself in Jesus Christ and in the church is not unimportant. I think all Christians can agree to that. And the way that he's done it, well, the word that we use is he's done it Trinitarianly. The early church, maybe they didn't have that term, but they were Trinitarians. Paul was a Trinitarian. Sometimes people say, well, the New Testament writers, they were proto-Trinitarians, but the Trinity evolved later. No, the Trinity didn't evolve. Things were clarified, but they were Trinitarians. And so, again, they didn't have that Latin terminology, but they didn't need it. Paul, this great Hebrew of Hebrews, an absolute dogged defender of the majesty and greatness of the one God, cannot speak of God without speaking of Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. He cannot recount to us God's great deeds as he wants to do, as a rabbi who wants to, in this very Mosaic way, recount God's greatness and his majesty and his various wonders in Israel. He wants to do that. And how does he do that? He does that in recounting to us who Jesus Christ is and who the Spirit is. And so, in that sense, I would hope that pastor, I don't know who you're referring to, I hope he understands that and maybe just misunderstands the academic word. But sometimes we do, unfortunately, we have people that are denying the heart of the gospel. And anyone who is claiming to be a Christian minister but doesn't trust the Son as we trust God, Jesus invites us to do that. Trust me. You believe in God, Jesus said. Believe also in me. Can you imagine your pastor saying that? The same way you trust and venerate God, I want you to trust and venerate me. Well, no way. We would never do that. But Jesus invites us to do that. And so the church understood that.
Yeah, I believe that this minister is what we call modalist or Jesus only. That's why he would reject, the Trinity and understanding of the Trinity. And but the way that I found it hysterical is that he would think that's a denomination. So
Right.
yeah.